What was your thesis of investing in Lockheed Corporation back in those days?
Lockheed was bankrupt in those days. They made the mistake of trying to make big planes, and they went bankrupt because they didn't know what they were doing.
1973 to 1980, where you delivered a phenomenal return of 4,200% in a span of 7 years. What do you think were some of the bets that played out really well in those 7 years that helped you to deliver a 4,200% return?
I and my partner both loved what we were doing. I never considered myself working. I was just having fun.
So what has been your best and worst investment in your entire career?
Worst investment was probably my wife, my second wife. What a horrible mistake that was. My best investment, I had my first child when I was 60. It was so good I had a second.
What's your most memorable interaction with Warren Buffett?
He will tell you, invest in what you know, and then you will be successful. Stay with what you know.
There are a lot of people who are just short sellers. How should a mindset be when a person is starting to invest in stocks?
You don't sell something short just because it's very expensive. You have to find something that's expensive. Overpriced is better, but you need to find something where change is taking place.
What are your views on gold right now as an asset class?
Well, I own gold, I own silver. I bought some more silver last week. If I buy more of something, it will be more silver.
What proportion of your equities would be in what part of the world?
Most markets have been going up a lot. I have investments in China and Uzbekistan, but no other countries right now.
Just out of curiosity, like why did you say that your worst investment was your second wife? वीडियो देखने से पहले मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है आप सबसे। मैं YouTube एनालिटिक्स देख रहा था एंड वहाँ पर देखा कि 82.6% ऑफ माय ऑडियंस हु इज वाचिंग दिस कंटेंट हैज नॉट सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल। अगर मैंने आपको थोड़ी सी वैल्यू प्रोवाइड की होगी एंड आपको अगर कंटेंट बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू टू प्लीज हिट द सब्सक्राइब बटन सो दैट वी कैन ब्रिंग यू द बेस्ट क्वालिटी ऑफ गेस्ट एंड गिव यू द मैक्सिमम वैल्यू पॉसिबल। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर सब्सक्राइबिंग टू आवर चैनल एंड एंजॉय दिस एंटायर एपिसोड ऑफ कॉन्वर्सेशन विद कुशल। हाउ डिड यू स्टार्ट द पीनट्स बिजनेस एंड डिड यू एंड अप मेकिंग मनी? डू यू रिमेंबर व्हाट वर द stories of that?
Well, no, I do remember. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just lived in a small, very small town. They had baseball games, and so I got a peanut machine and cooked peanuts and took them out to the baseball game and sold the peanuts. And people bought them. They didn't have anything else to buy, so they would buy bags of parched peanuts, cooked peanuts from me, and I made money. Yes, I made money. I made so much money that I bought some calves, baby cows, long ago, and turned them over to a farmer to raise so we could sell them.
Lovely. And what was the inclination of like starting something of your own, or how did the entrepreneurial spirit come into you right from your childhood?
Kushal, I didn't know what I was doing. This was a very small town. They had baseball games. There was nothing for sale at the baseball games until I came along. And yes, in the end, I made money. I made what for then in that part of the world was a lot of money. And I saved it. And I saved my money and was very, very pleased with myself. And then I grew up and I had jobs and I went to university and got another job. But this all started, I guess, selling peanuts at baseball games.
Right. And then if you just talk about your years from 1973 to 1980, where you delivered a phenomenal return of 4,200% in a span of 7 years at the Quantum Fund, what do you think were some of the bets that played out really well in those 7 years that helped you to deliver a 4,200% return, which I think if you compound it annually, it's in the range of 71% CAGR in 7 years, which is phenomenal. So can you just walk us through that journey as well?
Well, I and my partner both loved what we were doing. And I never considered myself working. I was just having fun. I can remember thinking, I wish the stock market were open on weekends so we could do it more. But as I say, for me, it was just a lot of fun finding things that were cheap and investing them and watching them go up. It was just a lot of fun for me.
So any specific theme, any specific sector worked out really well? I think in the 1970s, defense sector was the one where you bet like put a contrarian bet and you made money on that. So any specific thesis? What did you think back then, and how did it play out?
Certainly, defense was something where we made money, but that was because you may remember there was a Arab-Israeli war, and I remember thinking, "Gosh, what's going on here? The Egyptian planes are getting shot out of the sky by the Israelis. How could that be? Because Egypt doesn't have good technology." But then I realized some research that Egypt was getting electronic warfare from the Russians, and that the electronic warfare would be a great place to invest. So I tracked down the American companies that were in the electronic warfare business and invested. I remember, to me, it was just a pretty simple thing to do. And it worked. It worked.
And what was your thesis of investing in Lockheed Corporation back in those days, which also delivered like a 4,000% return in a span of 10 years? So, what did you identify about them? What did you like about the company? And what happened?
Lockheed was bankrupt in those days. Lockheed had been a major aircraft company and a defense company, and they made the mistake of trying to make big planes, and they went bankrupt because they didn't know what they were doing. Uh, and the company was sitting there at, I don't know, $2 a share or something. But I realized that Lockheed was not finished. It was turning itself around, and it was going to be a successful and profitable company, especially since America was starting to spend a lot of money on defense. In the 70s, in the 60s, you probably remember, everybody was anti-defense, anti-war. The 70s came along. Lockheed was totally ignored, totally ridiculed, bankrupt defense company. Nobody wanted defense. But I figured out that Lockheed was going to survive, was turning itself around, was making money, and that electronic warfare had a great future. I thought it was pretty simple. Made a lot of money.
And when you figured out that it was going to survive, like, were there some numbers or metrics that you look at before investing in companies? And what are these numbers? What do you look for? And like, what are like some of the good benchmarks or good numbers to look for? Like, let's say return on capital employed, return on equity. How is your analysis?
Well, I start off looking at the balance sheet. I want to make sure the company has enough capital, preferably has excess capital. And then I start trying to figure out how much they can earn on their equity, how much they can earn on their capital. And if I can find a company that has the ability to earn a lot on its equity, probably I will invest, especially if they're losing money or not earning a lot on it. The way you make money in the market is you find something that's cheap where there's change taking place. If you can find something that's cheap and it's changing for the better, you will probably be successful.
Can you give an example of how do you find something that is cheap and how do you find something that is changing or where a change is taking place?
I mean, cheap. If you go to the stock market and you look and you see and you find a lot of companies that are selling at $2 or $3 a share, they might be cheap. If they're selling at $42 a share, a lot of people know about them and are interested and are buying them. But if something is at $1 or $2 or $3 a share, it might be at $2 because nobody cares and nobody's looking. So if you find companies that are selling at low prices and nobody's looking, maybe if you look, you will find something happening. And that was something that I used to do. And if I could find something that was cheap, where there was positive change taking place, sometimes I would make a lot of money.
So, what has been your best and worst investment in your entire career, and which stock was it, and how much return did you make, or how much return did you lose in that stock?
Oh, my worst investment was probably my wife, my second wife. Oh my gosh, what a horrible mistake that was. Terrible mistake. My best investment, All my life I was against having children. And then I had my first child when I was 60, and I realized, wow, this is wonderful. I had had no children. I was against children until I was 60. And I had my first child when I was 60, and I realized it was wonderful. So my best investment was my first child. It was so good, I had a second. Now I have two. So if you haven't had a child and you're old enough, please think about having children.
And how did your life change after having a child? Like before having a child and after having a child, what were the changes?
Uh, I thought about things I never thought about. I would laugh with my child at things I didn't never thought were funny before. Well, young children, they, many things are funny, and watching her grow up and teaching her how to read, how to count, all of these things were very exciting and fun for me. To take a little girl and take her from knowing nothing to making her educated and smart was a lot of fun and exciting for me.
And in terms of stock investments, any specific best investments, worst investments that you've had where you really liked it? This was the best investment I've done in a stock.
I've had many successes. I've had many failures too. Um, I will just say that if you find, China, for instance, when I started investing in China, everybody thought I was crazy. It was a communist country, they said. It was red China. But I could see the exciting things happening in China. So I started investing in Chinese shares. They were very cheap. They were ignored. If you can find things like that, maybe right now Uzbekistan is a country that is ignored. Most people couldn't find Uzbekistan on a map, but if I'm right, there's exciting changes taking place for the better in Uzbekistan, and there will be money to be made.
Can you elaborate more on what did you see in Uzbekistan, and what's your thesis on that economy?
Well, Uzbekistan, first of all, is a very big country geographically, and it has a lot of people, has, millions of people. And it's right there in the middle of Asia. Nobody pays too much attention to it. But historically, Uzbekistan has been extremely successful at some times in its history. So they have the brain power, they have the experience. And what I see is that in Uzbekistan, things are very cheap, lots of resources, and a government that is encouraging people to invest in shares and to invest in companies that will make money.
Any specific sectors?
Country with a government that's trying to encourage stock market investment, you might have great success.
Any specific opportunities or sectors in Uzbekistan that you think will do well over the next few years or you are bullish on?
It's a small country. There are only a few companies, so all of them, buy them all. But tourism, travel, hospitality in Uzbekistan, because people have not been going to Uzbekistan, will probably have a great future. Uzbekistan has some fantastic tourist attractions that have not been very developed in the past few centuries. If it's right, many people will go to Uzbekistan.
What about the Indian economy? I am living in a country in India right now. So I'm living in India, right? And I wanted to ask you about your views on the Indian economy as well. Do you invest in India? Do you find India attractive as an investment opportunity? What's your thought?
For the first time in my life, my investing life, uh, something seems to have happened in Delhi. The Indian government now seems to understand that it is good for people to be successful. It is good for people to make money. Throughout history, Indian politicians have said that. They said, yes, we want prosperity, we want success, but they didn't mean it. Mrs. Gandhi and Nehru and all those people, they didn't like rich people. They were jealous of successful people. But now something seems to have happened. And in Delhi, they understand that success is good for India, prosperity is good for India. And for the first time in my life, the politicians in India seem to be in favor of success. And that means, oh my gosh, there are lots of smart, educated people in India. Many of them left for many years because there was very little opportunity in India. But now something seems to have changed. And then in India, they want you to be successful and they encourage it. So for the first time in my life, India is a place where the government and the people have the same interests.
And are you planning to invest in Indian companies, or do you already invest in Indian companies?
I don't have investments now because the market went up to new highs. By the time I realized, I mean, I've invested in India before in the stock market, but by the time I realized, oh my gosh, things are changing in India, the stock market had gone up a lot. So I'm waiting. I want to invest, but I don't have investments right now. I am watching and waiting.
And did you make money in the past in the Indian investments that you did before? And in which sector did you do?
I have made money investing in India in the past. I hope I can make money again investing in India.
And any specific sector, theme, companies that you had identified?
No, what it depends on what goes down, but I mean, tourism and travel in India has a spectacular future. I mean, I tell people many times, if you can only visit one country in your life, it should be India, because there's no country like it in the world. It's got man-made and natural sites, food. Oh my gosh, it's got everything. The most beautiful women in the world. I mean, India has everything.
When was the last time you visited this country?
Oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Recent, yeah, but 2-3 years back. And how was your experience here in terms of you spoke to some people? What were some customer level insights that you got after visiting India?
I don't think I've ever had a bad experience traveling in India. Yes, there were no roads, there were no hotels, there was very little of anything long ago. But some of the most astonishing places. I mean, the Taj Mahal has nothing like it in the world. Ajanta, Ellora. Have you been to Ellora?
No, I've not.
I've been to Ellora. Please go. There's nothing like it in the world. India has some places that are just shocking. They're so exciting. And at times in history, India's been extremely successful and extremely prosperous with very smart people. And they built some amazing places.
Right. And just taking back to your 1970 to 80 year again. So I read that you also had made money by shorting the Nifty 50 in that period itself, which was again a contrarian opinion. Everyone else was bullish on that index, but you were the one who said that this is overvalued. And when the bubble burst, you made a lot of money. How did you identify that the Nifty 50 index was overvalued, and what was your thesis back then?
If you look at in shares anywhere in the world, it's not easy, but you can tell if shares are historically high. In those days, the Nifty 50, they were called, so at very, very high prices. The price to earnings ratio was extremely high. There were stocks that people just bought no matter what, and they went up every day. I mean, when you see something like that happening, wherever the stock market, start trying to figure out if it's not too high and maybe it's going to go down. You don't sell something just because it's expensive, but if you see something that's very expensive and you see things are starting to change for the worse, you might make a lot of money selling short.
So there are a lot of people who are just short sellers, and they basically just short stocks where they feel that the stock is going to go down. So as a mindset of an investor, do you recommend that people should have a fixed mindset of, let's say, being a short seller, or they can also like be long and bullish on stocks? Like, how should a mindset be when a person is starting to invest in stocks?
Want to repeat, you don't sell something just because you don't sell something short just because it's very expensive. You have to find something that's expensive. Overpriced is better, but you need to find something where change is taking place,
Yeah.
negative change. And if you can find something that's very, very expensive, where negative change is taking place, more competition, whatever it is, you might make a lot of money selling short. I mean, I don't want you to think this is easy. Selling short is complicated and it can be hard on your nerves. So careful.
Yeah, I agree. Can you give an example of the negative change that you mentioned? Because if you can just explain through an example in an industry or in a sector, what do you mean by negative change? It'll be easier for the viewers to understand what exactly do you mean by that.
Well, if you find a company that is very expensive, but you see that new competition is coming into the industry because they've been so successful. Success often leads to competition. And if you can find an industry where there's a lot of new competition coming in to compete with very successful companies, chances are you will have success because if somebody's very successful, their profits are probably very high, their margins are probably very high. And if competition comes, that will bring the margins down. That will bring the profits down. That will bring everything down if you have enough staying power. It doesn't happen immediately. It takes a while. So be sure you have staying power because it often takes a while for it to happen. And it takes a while for people to understand that it is happening.
Hmm. So, in a span of 7 years from 1973 to 80, what are like some things you learned from your then partner, Mr. George Soros, and how did that 7 years help you in your investing journey? Like some anecdotes of your interactions with him.
Sorry. That was 50 years ago. I mean, you might as well ask me about where I went to university or something. It was a long, long time ago. We both loved what we were doing and we had some success because we both liked it a lot, but it was a long, long time ago. It's not very relevant to me today. You can ask me where I went to university. It's just as important.
And you left in 1980 when you were 37 years old, right? And that time, basically, you decided that you want to retire, and then you also traveled across 116 countries, etc. So there are like two experiences that you've mentioned. One is traveling on a bicycle, the BMW motorcycle, which was there. So how did that entire experience of traveling to 116 countries help you observe the ground reality in different parts of the world?
Well, I grew up in a very small village that was far away from anything. And if you grow up in a place like that, which is fine, many people never leave. Or you're like me and you want to see everything. So I was a little bit crazy. I wanted to see it all. So my goal was to see as much of the world as I could. And so that's one reason I retired early because I wanted to see the world. I wanted to travel around the world, which was very hard in those days. If you can remember 1980, there was Red China, Soviet Union. Oh my gosh, these countries were all closed. They didn't like foreigners. They didn't like Americans. They didn't like capitalists. But I wanted to see those places. It took me a while to get permission, but I finally got permission. So I went to see the world.
Any specific interesting anecdotes from your entire visit across the world about different parts of the world? Or what was the most memorable thing out of that entire visit?
I would say first thing that pops to mind is crossing the Sahara Desert. You know, the Sahara Desert is huge. It's the size of the United States, but it's all desert. There are not any hotels. There's nothing out there. Uh, Many people die trying to cross the Sahara Desert. I should probably be dead, but I remember it was extremely exciting. It was very beautiful, especially at night. You cannot believe stars like you see in the Sahara Desert at night. Uh, there's no, there's nothing in the air. There's no moisture or anything. And so if you're in the Sahara Desert at night, you see skies like you'll never see anywhere in the world. So if you have a chance, try to drive across the Sahara Desert at night.
Mm. And apart from this, also wanted to discuss about a time where, let's say, you predicted something and it didn't go with the prediction. Has there been a time where, let's say, you predicted something but it did not go as per what you predicted, and what went wrong as per you?
Oh my gosh, when I first started in the business, I had great success. I was so smart, I thought I was smart. So I sold short a lot of things. And, a month later, I was broke. I lost everything because there was a lot I didn't know. What I didn't know at that time was that I thought everybody knew what I knew. But there were many people who did not know that things were going bad for some companies or whatever. And so they would not sell. They would buy, they would buy, they would buy. And that would hurt me very badly. If I had sold something short, well, everybody else was buying because they did not know what I thought I knew, I would lose a lot of money. That's one of the first things I learned. I learned I had to know about other people as well as know what was happening.
Was there a time when you like sold a stock and that stock went down to zero? Like, has it happened in your career?
Yes, it certainly happened before. I mean, it doesn't happen much these days.
Mm.
But early in my career, yes, there were stocks that went to zero. In the 70s, there were many stocks that were selling at really crazy prices. So that's the kind of thing that can go to zero. I'm sure that now there are some things that are going to go to zero. I just don't know what they are right now. I
Mm.
hope I find them.
And in 2009, you predicted that the US dollar might collapse after the recession was there, but the dollar had always strengthened. So, do you think that prediction didn't go as per what you had predicted?
But I own a lot of US dollars right now. Uh, I'm a, I'm afraid that, I mean, the US is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, and the debts are going higher and higher every day. I just cannot conceive of I don't think the people in Washington can count anymore. I don't know how they keep letting the debt go higher and higher. But I know it's going to end very badly for the US. This has happened before. England 100 years ago, Britain was the richest, most powerful country in the world. 50 years later, it went bankrupt. Margaret Thatcher came along and had to save the country. So this has happened before. The US gets deeper and deeper in debt all the time. And I know it's going to end badly. I don't like it. I'm an American and I own US dollars now. Now, you're probably going to say, well, why do you own US dollars? I own them because I know that when things go wrong, people will look for a safe haven. They think the US is a safe haven. It's not, but they think it is. So the US dollar will probably go much higher. I hope I'm smart enough to sell it.
So, you're saying that US dollar will appreciate in the short term, but you're saying might depreciate in the longer term. Is that what I understand correctly?
Well, I'm not very good at the short term. I own the US dollar. I know that when things get tough in the world, people look for something safe. They think the US dollar is safe. So the US dollar will probably go higher. the next time we have a crisis in the world. If that happens, I hope I'm smart enough to sell my US dollars, but I don't know where to put the money now. I don't
So,
know where I will put my money when I sell my US dollars. If you
mm,
know, do not tell people, send me an email.
okay. And what are some other asset classes apart from US dollar, apart from stocks that you also invest in, as far as your investments are concerned?
I mean, most stock markets around the world have been very successful. So these days, it's hard to find cheap assets. I mean, many commodities are cheap compared to stocks, for instance. So I would urge people to look at commodities. Not many countries, maybe China. China is still somewhat depressed compared to the US, Uzbekistan, but there are not many stock markets that are cheap around the world. So I guess if you can find some commodities or some, well, maybe Chinese shares, there are not many cheap shares anymore. So I guess you should look at commodities if you're looking for something that's not very expensive.
What kind of commodities? Can you give some examples?
Well, agriculture. I mean, most people, I mean, do you know anybody who wants to be a farmer? Nobody. Nobody goes to school these days and says, I'm going to be a farmer. You know, someday that will happen again. But right now, I mean, agriculture is probably, compared to shares, agriculture is probably cheaper.
Got it. And also, in one of your books, you've mentioned this that while I have never patronized a prostitute, I know that one can learn more about a country from speaking to the madam of a brothel or a black marketeer than from meeting a foreign minister. So, can you just elaborate more on this and any specific anecdote that you recall from this?
Whenever a country mismanages, when the politicians make mistakes, usually a black market develops because people are smart. They know that there's something wrong and they know that they can find a way to make money, and that's usually a black market. So if you can find a black market, first of all, it's a sign that something's wrong somewhere, but then it might help you to figure out what is right because the people in the black market are usually pretty smart. They know where things are going right and they try to invest in the right areas. So if you find a country with a black market, do some more research, find out what is going right and what is going wrong. It might be an opportunity. You have to be careful though. Black markets are usually illegal and you can go to jail. So be careful.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a there's a dilemma here in the sense like since black markets are illegal, so it becomes difficult to, let's say, go talk and understand more about an economy, right? Because it is something that is not legal in a country.
As I say, black markets develop because something went wrong.
Hmm.
If you go to Germany, I don't think you'll find a black market because Germany is a well run economy, well run country. But if you go to other countries, you might find a black market because they're not so well managed. And if countries are not well managed, people figure it out and figure out ways to make money. And that is usually, or that is quite often, the black market.
What are your views on gold right now as an asset class?
I own gold, I own silver. If I'm not buying gold today, if I were buying something today, I would buy silver because silver is down a lot from its all time high and gold is making all time high. I own both. I'm not going to sell either. I bought some more silver last week. If I buy more of something, it will be more silver.
Why? Why more silver?
It's cheap. I mean, silver is
Mm.
down over 50% from its all time high. Gold is making all time high. I'm sure your parents taught you to buy low and sell high. Well, silver might be cheap. Silver might be low.
Mm. And do you think gold will depreciate going forward since it's at an all-time high?
Well, I know gold will go much higher over the years. I hope that my children own my gold someday. No, the world we live in is not a very well managed world. Many countries are making many mistakes. And when that happens, when troubles come, people buy gold and silver. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. And whether it's right or not, it's what people do. You may remember Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was sold for 30 pieces of silver because silver was extremely valuable. It was used as money in those days. And so silver and gold have always been valuable and probably always will be.
Do you also invest in real estate as an asset class?
For sure, I try to find things that are cheap. Right now, there's not much that's cheap as I look around the world.
Mm.
Most things are very expensive. Everybody's having a good time. And when everybody's having a good time, you should ask questions. You should start worrying.
So in 2007, I read that you sold your New York residential for $16 million to move to Singapore. And after that, the Manhattan real estate boomed significantly. Do you think that was a financial mistake when you just look back in the past?
I mean, who knows? It doesn't matter. It was important to me to move to Asia so that my children would speak Chinese and know Asia. My children are young, and when in their lifetime, Asia is going to be the most important part of the world, and the Chinese language is going to be extremely important. So for me, the best investment I thought I could make was to teach my children about Asia and to teach them Chinese.
And why do you say that learning, let's say, Mandarin is very important in the current scenario?
50 years from now, everybody's going to, well, not everybody, but Chinese is going to be an extremely important language, even more than it is now. China will be the most prosperous country in the world, will become the most important country in the world again. You know, China's been the number one country 3 or 4 times in history. Nobody else has done it 3 or 4 times, but China has. China's on the rise again. And so in my children's lifetime, Mandarin speaking Chinese will be very important.
But do you think that China will still progress a lot given the fact that it faces a severe property crisis, demographic cliff, and a leader consolidating power in a way that has spooked like global investors? So do you still think China is going to be like a place to be in or place to invest in?
You know, America became the most successful country in the 20th century, but along the way, America had some horrible problems: depression, bankruptcy, civil war, everything. But despite all of that, America became very successful. China's going to have huge problems. Yes, everybody that rises has a lot of problems, but I don't see anybody else except China in 2025 that will be successful in the future.
And why do you say that? What makes you say that China will be the most successful country in 2025?
They've got the population, not in 2025, but in the rest, they've got the population, they've got the resources, they've got the capital, they have the know-how, they have the education. Maybe there's somebody else. I mean, India, for the first time in my life, the people in Delhi now understand that prosperity is good. You know, the Indians talked about that for all my life, but they never really believed it. Mrs. Nehru certainly didn't like rich people. Mr. Gandhi didn't really like rich people. They said they wanted people to be successful, but they didn't. But now in India, they understand that success is good. And so India is now rising, real rising for the first time in my life.
Hmm. And your equities portfolio, which is there, what proportion of your equities would be in what part of the world? Like, how much weightage have you given to which country as far as your investing portfolio is concerned?
Most markets have been going up a lot. As I said, I have investments in China and Uzbekistan, but no other countries right now
Okay.
because I don't like to buy something that's high and hope it will go higher. I try to find something that's depressed. That's what I like.
Okay. And at
Depressed right now.
Got it. And at present, if we speak about, are there any sectors or themes that you are bullish on? You'd like to bet that, okay, this will play out in the next 10 years, 15 years, and I want to bet on this theme?
Well, maybe you should look at agriculture.
Mhm.
Schools, people don't say, I want to be a farmer. I'll say, I want to go to Wall Street. I want to be an investor and be rich. But if you can find areas like agriculture that are not very popular right now, you might make success.
Hmm. Any other sector apart from agriculture?
Well, any commodities, metals. I mean, many metals are cheap. Silvers, as we talked about silver before, many metals are still depressed. Oil is down from its all-time highs. Most commodities are down. That might be a place to look.
Got it. What's your thesis on oil right now, from where it is right now, and where do you see it in the next 1 year, 2 years?
Oil?
Yeah.
Well, I would. Oil is going to go higher. I don't know about the next 1 to 2 years, but oil is going to go much, much higher in the next few years because the world is running out of known supplies, known reserves of oil. So when we're running out of something, eventually the price goes much higher. And if there's a war, of course, it will go much, much higher. But at the moment, known reserves of oil continue to decline worldwide.
And what about your views on metals like, let's say, copper, aluminum, iron? What's your view on them?
Well, I'm optimistic about them. I mean, I'm not buying copper right now, but I know that all of those metals, including silver and gold, will go higher in the future.
Mm. Got it. Fair. In one of your previous interviews, you've also said to the students at Columbia Business School that you're just wasting your time here and money, and you would be better off taking tuition and investing it to gain real world experiences. So, do you think that MBA schools are thing of the past, and people should just go and learn investing by doing it?
My experience is you're better off. You will learn more by doing it, whatever it is, than going to school. I had a wonderful time at Columbia Business School, but my experience is people learn more by doing it than by going to school, especially if it's business or investing. Do it.
So, so would you not send your child to a business school in the future?
Well, I have learned not to tell children what to do, but my children, if they want to go to business school, I will help them. But so far, they have not indicated they want to go to business school. And I am certainly not encouraging them to go to business school. No. If they come to me and say, we want to go to business school, I will help. But so far, they have not said that.
Yeah, I can resonate to this. I was contemplating my decision of going to an Ivy League for an MBA. But then I decided that there's more opportunity right now in the creator economy, which I am a part of, the content creation space. And I decided to quit my job, pursue this full time, and drop my MBA plans. And I can resonate to you because I'm also learning by doing itself and just figuring out what to do. And the B school 2 years, the opportunity cost is too high, is what I felt. That's why I decided not to pursue. So I can resonate to you.
Well, an Ivy League MBA is extremely expensive, as you well know, extremely expensive. I'm just, in my view, you're better off taking that money and investing it. You'll learn more if you invest that money than if you go to get an MBA. You'll probably lose a lot of that money, but it's okay. That will teach you many lessons.
Who are some global investors you really admire a lot? You look up to them, and what have you learned from them after interacting with them?
In my lifetime, I have mainly been sort of a loner. I mean, I don't sit around talking to other investors very much. That's not my style. I have learned that when I listen to other people or get ideas from other people, I usually lose money. So I have learned that I am better off, for whatever reason, making my own mistakes, making my own decisions.
What are your learning sources? What do you consume on a day to day basis to keep upskilling yourself?
I mean, you have to read the Wall Street Journal, you have to read the Financial Times, you have to read the international financial papers. Depends on what you're interested in. I mean, Japan has you. Everybody has interesting newspapers. It depends on what you're interested in. I have learned that the more I read, the better off I am. And if you can read news from other countries, you will get a better perspective because you get a different perspective. And a different perspective is usually better.
What's your view on the Japanese market? Do you plan to invest in Japan companies?
I sold my Japanese share. I mean, the Japanese market has gone straight up. I mean, the Japanese market was down for over 30 years. That's not a typo. Over 30 years. Now it's skyrocketing. I sold Japan too soon, which is okay. But I am not investing in Japan right now. I'm watching.
Got it. And you also once declared that most non governmental organizations are supposed to be a scam, arguing that they often do more harm than good by creating dependency and disrupting the local economies. So, can you elaborate on this and why do you say that?
Uh, there are many non government agencies that are not scams. I mean, I doubt if the Red Cross is a scam. Maybe it is. I don't know. But there are many people who are trying to help others, who are trying to do good for the world, who will be useful. Just be careful because many of them like it a lot if you give them money that they don't have to explain. Just be very careful. Yes, I hope everybody will help save the world. Be careful. Be careful if you donate money to anyone.
Mm. And if someone wants to start investing, what are some top three books you would recommend them to read?
Graham and Dodd, Security Analysis was one of the books I read early that I still remember. If you can find books by Graham and Dodd, they were smart people. They understood investing and they understood how to be careful as an investor. So if you can find something called Security Analysis or The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham, please read it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think these are like very interesting books and all. And do you also consume any sort of podcasts or video content as well on the internet when it comes to investing?
Oh, I don't remember any. No, I mean, I obviously have to know what's going on. So if you can find news sources to the BBC or whatever it happens to be, I urge you to be informed about what's happening in the world.
And what do you think that investor like, let's say, Warren Buffett, what made them successful? Patience is one, of course, the compounding fact. But apart from that, any specific traits, any specific instances that you think made people like Warren Buffett really, really successful? And what can we as young investors learn from someone like him?
Well, the most important thing is to invest in what you yourself know a lot about. Warren learned very young that he should not invest, he should only invest in what he himself understood. Ben Graham taught him that. And if you're going to be an investor, don't listen to other people. Stay with what you know, and that's where you should invest. And then you will be successful. Do not listen to hot tips. Do not go down to a party and listen to what other people are talking about. Stay with what you yourself know, nothing else.
Right. What's your most memorable interaction with Warren Buffett? What did you speak to him about, or what did he teach you?
Well, I mean, when I was teaching at Columbia, he actually came to my class. Uh, we mainly, I mean, I know what he thinks and how he thinks, and it's good. He will tell you, invest in what you know, and then you will be successful. So I guess that's one of the things I agree with Warren a lot about it. Stay with what you know.
So he came to your class at Columbia Business School, is it?
Oh, it was a long time ago, yes.
Oh, okay.
You may know.
Hmm.
And I was teaching, and he came to my class. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds very interesting. So, like, he came and he taught the students, or he just came and visited the class?
I know. I invited him. I told him I'm teaching Ben Graham's old class, and if you're in New York, come to my class. And so he came.
Oh, nice. Wow, that's very, very kind and nice to listen to. Very super interesting conversation, sir. One last question, which I ask all my guests. If you were in the shoes of Kushal and if you were interviewing Mr. Jim Rogers, what is one question you would like to ask him towards the end?
Well, I would tell you what I would tell you and anybody else. Please stay with what you know. Do not listen to hot tips. Hot tips are wonderful. Everybody wants a hot tip. Everybody wants to be rich this week. I want to be rich this week. Hot tips will ruin you. Stay away from other people's knowledge. Stay away from hot tips. Invest in what you know if you want to be successful. Do not listen to hot tips. Hot tips will ruin you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for doing this. It was amazing talking to you. I learned a lot from your journey. I really wish that I can get a chance to meet you in person. The next time you're in India, would love to host you here. And if I come to Singapore, would love to meet you as well.
And where are you? Are you in Delhi?
I'm in Mumbai, the financial capital of India.
So I hope I see you in India or Singapore or who knows where, anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Beautiful, wonderful country.
Absolutely.
One country in your life, go to India. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much once again for doing this. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आया होगा तो I'll request you to share it with all your friends and subscribe to our channel so that we can give you more value additive content in the shortest amount of time. हमको ये बताइए कि आपको कौन से kind of guest चाहिए, हमको ये बताइए कि कौन से questions मुझे नहीं पूछने चाहिए थे, कौन से questions मुझे और पूछने चाहिए थे ताकि आपको और ज़्यादा value मिल सके, और कौन से ऐसे parts है जो आपको बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं आए ताकि हम लोग ये parts trim कर सके future episodes में. So thank you so much once again for watching this episode and keep sharing all our episodes with your friends and keep giving us feedback so that we can improve and come up with better quality content.